Good morning. This is Jimmy. It's Saturday morning. If you're watching this, you can see that we're at war with Iran. I knew that we were getting close. I contacted my son to find out where he was, to make sure he was not in harm's way. There are a lot of sons and daughters who are in harm's way today. Now, yesterday we finished Isaiah chapter 59. We will begin Isaiah chapter 60 today, but I've already got a couple of questions that people have wanted to know, because all day long, if you into prophecy, not weirdo prophets telling you their latest dream from heaven. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about NAR and all that crap. I'm talking about biblical prophecy and the fulfillment thereof, which we see happening all the time and will soon be fulfilled or fulfilled in full. But there are two themes that you're going to see, and that is this Ezekiel 38 and 39? Is this, or is this Jeremiah 49, the judgment of Elam? Or is this Psalm 83 war? The answer to all of those is no. There's absolutely no prophetic significance in anything that the United States may or may not do to Iran today, because the circumstances for those wars are not met. I believe that all of those wars will take place during the Great Tribulation, probably at the beginning, or maybe the rapture will happen as that war's going on. But there are certain circumstances that have to be fulfilled. So let's just take the most popular one, the war in Ezekiel 38, 39. This is where God raises up, or this bunch of nations rise up, and they configure themselves against Israel. They're going to fight Israel. They're going to be from afar. They're going to be led by Russia. Iran is definitely going to be involved, because Persia is mentioned as the second offender after Russia, and then of course modern day Turkey and Syria. Of course, Syria is not really a player anymore. Good morning, Gary. So let's just read this and get it out of the way, and you will see that these conditions do not exist. So this cannot be the Ezekiel 38, the Gog-Magog war. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, the prophecy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord. And the people who settled in that region became the Russians. Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief priests of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, and horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even with a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, and all of them with a shield and helmet, and Gomer and all his bands to the house of Togarma of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with him. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. In other words, there's going to be this large confederation of nations that are kind of far off from Israel. In other words, they don't border Israel. And after many days thou shalt be visited, and in the latter years thou shalt come back into the land that is brought back from the sword. As they were brought back into the land in bulk after World War II, after the Holocaust. They became a nation, May 14th, 1948. and is gathered out of many people all over the world against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. They're dwelling in safety. They're dwelling safely. Are they dwelling safely now? No. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, and all thy bands and many people with him. See, this has to do with an invasion of Israel that involves Iran. There's no invasion of Israel. It does not involve Iran right now. Israel and the United States are gobsmacking Iran right now. There's going to be a bloody long war. And I don't tell them how many will have to die, but it's not the Psalm, it's not the Ezekiel 38 Gog-Magog war. That's the first thing, is that Iran and Russia are not attacking Israel. That's how it has to start. Thus saith the Lord, it shall come to pass that at the same time shall things come into my mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. Israel is not unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwelleth safely. Israel is not at rest. Israel is not dwelling safely. And all of them dwelling without walls, not them, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to prey and to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. Well, they are inhabited again, but not like this. And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations which have gotten cattle and goods and dwell in the midst of the land. You see, the circumstances are not right for the Gog-Magog war. There is a war, and I don't believe that war can take place before the Great Tribulation. If it does, it would be right at the beginning. The Psalm 83 war is similar, except it involves countries that are near to Israel, that border Israel. None of the countries in the Gog-Magog war will border Israel, not one. Psalm 83 is a different war, but again, the circumstances are not right. I don't believe this war will happen until the Great Tribulation. Verse 1, Psalm 83, keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace. Be not still, O God, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And they said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So that's an example of the October 7 war when Hamas invaded Israel. They don't want to gain nothing. They don't want any money. They don't care about money. All they care about is cutting off Israel from the face of the earth, that the name of Israel will not be remembered. The destruction of Israel is all they care about. Russia cares about what it can loot. The nations that border Israel in that day and today too, they just want Israel not to be there anymore. That is the purpose of this war. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, inhabitants of Tyre. Asher's also joined with them, and they have hope in the children of Israel, the children of Lot. See, they're all the neighbors. That war ain't happening right now. Israel is not being invaded by all of her neighbors, even when the Philistines, even when Hamas came out of the land of Philistia and invaded Israel. None of the other nations around Israel invaded. Oh, there was a rocket here and a missile there, but those were just sent by Iran, paid for by Iran. Matter of fact, Hamas is a client state of Iran. They're not real. They're just an Iranian proxy. You know, I mean, there's no love lost between me and Iran. Believe me, they're evil and wicked, and the world is far better off without them. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, can this United States Israeli action against Iran be part of the Gog Magog war? The answer is emphatically no. So don't be fooled by the people on TV. It will come, it will happen. But the circumstances for that war have not been met, as I explained to you. Neither have the circumstances for the Psalm 83 war been met, and they're two different wars. Psalm 83 goes against Israel just to destroy Israel because they hate Israel, and all of those nations border Israel. The Magog Gog war, they're going to take prey, to take booty, to loot, to take what they can get, plus to kill the Jews. But none of those nations border Israel, and they are led by a confederation of Turkey, Iran, and Russia. Russia's not leading anybody anywhere. They're bogged down to their last necktie in Ukraine. The Persians, which is Iran, they're not leading any army anywhere. They're going to be bogged down for a long time, getting the crap bombed out of them by the United States Navy. So, we just need to be aware of those things. That every time you see something on the news, that doesn't mean that Christ is fixing to appear in the air. No, we interpret the news by the Bible. We do not interpret the Bible by the news. So, the main things you will hear today, that this is either part of Psalm 83 war or Ezekiel 38, 39, Gog Magog war. They are completely, totally, irrecoverably, irredeemably wrong. They just don't know their Bible. And they want the headline, and they want you to click on their video and send them money. Don't do it. You get the truth here every morning. Now, if you're a deep student, you know about Elam. And there's a specific prophecy against Elam toward the end of the book of the prophet Jeremiah, written before the fall of Jerusalem, when it fell captive to the King Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldeans, Babylon. Elam was a precursor to the Medes. They were allied with the Medes. They intermarried with the Medes. They became one people with the Medes. As in when Media Persia, the Medo-Persian Empire, when they ruled after Babylon, after Nebuchadnezzar and his dynasty. Elam specifically was a country in the mountainous far southwest corner of Iran. It's where their main nuclear plants are and where their missile base is. Right on the Persian Gulf. You'll hear about Elam because people are going to try to find something that'll make the news fit the Bible, or make the Bible fit the news in their mind. I don't know. Let me tell you just a little bit about Elam. There is a somewhat obscure prophecy against them by Jeremiah. And by obscure, I mean it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just that a lot of people don't know about it unless you read the Bible verse by verse, book by book. You may not know about Elam. But that's who they are. And then here's their biblical a primary biblical reference. Excuse me. Verse 34, chapter 49 of Jeremiah. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. See, their strength was as war makers. The Persians couldn't take over. For the Babylonian Empire, the Persians couldn't take over without the help of the Medes. As a matter of fact, although General Cyrus took Babylon, the first king was actually a distant relative of his, Darius, and he was a Mede, and he was 62 years old, and he became the first king, 539 BC. And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them toward all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcast of Elam shall not come. He's going to spread them all over the world. Well, we could bomb Iran 6 days from Sunday, and that wouldn't scatter them to the utmost parts all over the world, to all the nations of the world. Something else would have to happen there. Could it be a nuclear war? Possibly. But this is the only possible application we could make, would be the prophecy against Elam. But as we read on, we'll see that it doesn't exactly fit the situation. It says, no nation, there shall be no nation whither the outcast of Elam shall not come. In other words, they're going to be spread out so far, they're going to be scattered to every nation in the world. It's hard to imagine how that might happen. For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies and before them that seek their life, and I will bring evil upon them in my fierce anger. I will send my sword after them till I have consumed them. Well, that could be what's happening right now. But I promise you, no matter how much we bomb them, the regime will not fall. No matter what we do for them, they will not quit. They will not resign. They will not free their people. They got a tighter grip than old Pharaoh. And you see, they just don't care. They will sit there until you bomb them into oblivion. But you see, we don't have the stomach for that. It would be technically possible to fulfill this prophecy with a United States invasion of Iran, but we will not invade Iran. We will drop a few bombs, we'll send a few missiles, we'll yell and scream, and then something else will distract our government, and they'll be after someone else. In the meantime, we'll suffer attacks at all of our bases in the region. American citizens won't be safe anywhere in the world, not even in the United States. Man, expect terror attacks here. Do you think Iran doesn't have terror cells here? You're just kidding yourself. I guess it's technically possible that in the end of these days of war, as we get into it, but I just can't imagine a nuclear exchange between the United States and Iran that would cause the utter scattering of Elam. When we read a little more, you'll see what I mean. For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies and before them that seek their life, and I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, and I will send the sword after him till I have consumed them. Do you think we're going to do that? We don't have the, you know, without logistics. I mean, look at how far our lines are stretched. I'm looking at the map on the wall. You got a carrier group in the Eastern Med. You got a carrier group in the Gulf of Oman. They're in the north part of the Arabian Sea. And all of their task force. You got our former European allies who won't even let us fly over their space or use NATO bases to fight this war. How do you think we're going to supply that big a force? And how long can we supply it when we've already got half the Navy there? These people are children that put this thing together. It's like betting your last dollar at Vegas and not having a way home. We're ruled by children. These are not serious men who control our affairs. And then here's the other thing that doesn't fit. This is God writing, verse 38, chapter 49, Jeremiah and the prophecy against Elam. And I will set my throne in Elam and will destroy from thence the kings and the princes, saith the Lord. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Lord. Now, he must intend to redeem some of them, which a lot of times he does. God could mean that he's going to set his throne there, maybe the ambassador of King Jesus during the millennial kingdom. I don't know. We have that one sentence. But I want you to see that the circumstances for this Elam war, they don't fit, because unless we were to strike them with a nuclear bomb and blow Elam, that section of Iran, to smithereens, as they say, that would be the only thing I could think of that would cause them to disperse. You see, with the most popular application today, the next few days, you'll see it on the internet. The most common application will be the Gog-Magog war, Ezekiel 38-39. Next will be the Psalm 83 war. And then finally, some people will probably start talking about Elam. Don't be fooled. What is happening today in Iran is not a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. It could be awful, it could be horrible, it could lead to circumstances someday that might set up the conditions of the prophetic fulfillments. But those conditions do not exist now, and it's doubtful that they'll exist anytime soon. I don't see Russia disengaging from Ukraine to invade Israel. Do you? Now, there is one country who wants to invade Israel, and they're certainly in position to do it, and that's Turkey. And I'm sure that the only thing that prevents them from doing that is their NATO membership. So we'll have to see what Erdogan does in the next few days, especially if Iran starts bombing Israel, which they will. How successful that'll be. And if Iran is able to weaken Israel, then Tehran may jump in. Then Turkey may jump in and try to take a spoil. But could this lead to fulfillment of prophecy? Yes. Is this a fulfillment of prophecy? No. Because the conditions biblically, which I've just described and demonstrated to you, do not exist for those things to happen. Right now, it's just some senseless, pointless bombing of bloody dictators. And if we remove them, there'll just be somebody just as bad or worse to take their place. That's what we never seem to learn. Okay. Now, chapter 60, Isaiah, beginning in verse 1. This is about the total restoration of Israel in the coming kingdom, the millennial kingdom of the Lord Jesus Christ, the kingdom that he is bringing to earth. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Arise and shine. Be enlightened, for thy light cometh. Have joy. Walk in the light. Walk in the sunshine. We'll sing in the sunshine. We'll laugh every day. Oh man, my voice is no good. Not because I have a cold, it's just no good. Padoom. Verse 8, chapter 5 of Ephesians. For ye were sometimes darkness, but now ye are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. But all things are reproved, are made manifest by the light. For whatsoever doth make manifest is light. Which, in other words, everything, shine the light on it so you can see it. Wherefore he saith, awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee life. That's what happened when I was born again. I rose from the dead. I was a dead man walking sinners to hell, and he gave me eternal life. I'm buried with him in death. I'll be raised again with him in resurrection. Arise, shine, for thy light is come. He's talking to Israel. The glory of the Lord has risen upon me. Right at the end of the Old Testament in Malachi. Chapter 4. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name, I hope that's you. But unto you that fear my name, shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And he shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet, in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Arise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Arise and shine, for the light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. Now, in a morning like this, it's kind of hard to think that the glory of the Lord is shining upon me. The government will be very secretive about our damages. We won't know for maybe months or years, because what they will tell us, if we have 100 people killed, they'll tell us we had 10 killed. And if we had, if we had the latest fighters destroyed on the ground, what are they now? F-20-32s or whatever they are. Whatever the latest generation of fighter is destroyed on the ground in our bases in Bahrain or somewhere. They'll never tell us about it until some reporter digs it up. Government always lies in the war because it doesn't want you to know how bad it is. But we got something different than they had before. Everybody everywhere has got a movie camera in their pocket. El Telefono. And so nowadays, when these things happen, we get more information than the government ever planned to let us know. Then they spend all time lying to us and trying to make us believe that we didn't see what we saw. Arise and shine, for the light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, verse 2 of chapter 60, Isaiah, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Well, darkness certainly did cover their part of the earth, in the sense of the hordes of the Chaldeans that came and destroyed Judah in 586 BC. Isaiah is writing this in 598 BC. And the enemy did come when the people were in darkness. It said, the Lord shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Well, his glory did arise upon them in that he gave them a way out. He told them through Jeremiah, if you just treat each other right and surrender to Nebuchadnezzar, I'll let you stay in the land. I won't destroy the temple. He'll be the governor here, and you can just serve me. You can continue to serve me in my temple and with your lives. No, he ain't going to do that. He showed himself to them. He showed himself in forgiveness afterward, but they didn't take it. They went to Babylon, and things certainly looked dark. And when they came back, they had a nail. They gave them a nail to hang their coat on. They gave them a beginning. But that's not the glory that he's talking about here. He's talking about the glorious light that everyone would see, not just Israel, but the whole world. When Nehemiah came back, he had them picking up rocks and burnt wood and debris and rebuilding walls out of debris just to set up a pile to have something between them and their enemies while they worked on the wall. They worked day and night. That wasn't a time of brightness, a time of sunshine. Nor was it for Ezra trying to rebuild the temple. nor was it for Haggai and Zechariah trying to encourage those people. Yeah, they were back from Babylon, but fewer than 50,000 of them came back. For 300 years after that, there were more Jews in Babylon than there were in Jerusalem. Fact. Matter of fact, during Jesus' time, the largest concentration of Jews, it's a bad word, concentration camp, the largest population of Jews outside of Israel, of Judea, was in Babylon. No, they got a light. They got a candle. They had a light in the dark. But they didn't have the sunshine. They didn't have the glory of the Lord rising upon them. Now, he's talking about a time when they will have the glory of the Lord, because Jesus is going to come and establish his kingdom here on the earth. And it's going to be in Israel. And Israel is going to be the center of the universe. Jerusalem is going to be the capital of the world. Jesus will sit on the throne of his father David. The law shall go forth from Mount Zion. I just love hearing those words. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. The whole world is going to see it. The whole world is going to see the end of their night. The whole world is going to see the end of night eventually. Because in the new heaven and the new earth, we won't need any sun by day, because the Lamb is the light thereof. Neither will there be any moon, because there ain't going to be any more night. No more night. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Now that's never happened. Not since the days of Isaiah. We can safely say in the last 2,700 years it hadn't happened. It just hadn't happened yet. The Gentiles shall come to thy light. We were just here the other day in chapter 49. Well, I guess it's been weeks ago now. It says, and now saith the Lord, verse 5, chapter 49, Isaiah, and now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord. And my God shall be my strength. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. He's talking about the Lord Jesus and his kingdom. Revelation. I already mentioned it. Verse 23, chapter 21 of Revelation. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of God did lighten it. And the Lamb is the light thereof. Behold, the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world. The Lamb that was slain from the foundation of the world. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day. For there shall be no night there, none. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. This is a direct fulfillment in the New Testament. And the Gentiles shall come to whose light? To Jesus' light. And the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Who's rising? Jesus is rising. He rose from the dead. He is returning as King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Jesus said of himself, I am the light of the world. He's the light that shineth in darkness. In him was life, and that life is the light of the world. And the light shineth in darkness. Chapter 9 of Isaiah. Oh, there's so much in here. We've been in here a long time. A couple of weeks we'll have been in this book a year. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, as when the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan and Galilee of the nations. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them the light is shined. Upon them the light is shined. Matthew quotes that, and they must have got tired of walking, because by the time Matthew writes, they're sitting down, but it's the same idea. Verse 14, chapter 4, Matthew, that it might be fulfilled that was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, in the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people which sat in darkness saw great light. And to them which sat in the region of death, the shadow of death, light is sprung up. So verse 3 is his direct fulfillment in Jesus Christ, because Jesus is the light of the world, and even when he's the only light, it's enough. In him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Peter Peter calls it a lamp in the dark. Then in chapter 2, we have also verse 19 of chapter 1 of Peter, 2 Peter. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star rise in your heart. A light in the darkness. That's what Jesus is. But you know, when you come to him in the dark, and then he gives you the light of the world gives you light, then you're not in darkness anymore. It doesn't matter what the world is around you, you're not in darkness anymore. You don't have to believe what the world says. You don't have to follow the world. You can follow the Lord Jesus. I think when we give up today, we start a little different passage in verse 4. And I'm feeling lots better. I hope to resume my schedule tomorrow. I've got a couple of little things to do today, but I'm just meeting with some people. God bless all of you. God protect the innocent. Deliver the godly out of temptation.